gluten-free baking can be scary. Hi guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this skit. But it doesn't have to be. I was trying to learn how to bake. I mean, y'all have seen I've made gluten-free bread on this channel before, and I feel like I'm at a point in learning how to bake gluten-free that I can offer some advice that could be helpful. And so this is what this video is about. Tips on how you can successfully bake. It doesn't just have to be gluten-free. This isn't only for gluten-free people, but just tips on how to successfully bake with less chance of error. Now we're gonna get into it. My first one, which seems really simple. I do have my notes here per usual. My first one is read the recipe, like in completion, as if you were reading a book, a story. Just read it all the way through, step by step, just read it. To prep all the ingredients out before you jump into the nitty-gritty of making the recipe. This helps ensure that you've never forgotten something, or you didn't add a cup of this, or maybe you were supposed to add 3 cups and you think you added 2, but you actually probably added 3, so you don't know whether you should put another scoop in, or not speaking from personal experience, but speaking kind of from personal experience. If you don't want to use that many bowls, just simply having all the ingredients on the counter is a big help. Because I'm always like running around the kitchen with my head cut off looking for ingredients, and then by the time I'm bringing the ingredient back to where my bowl is, I'm like, what was I doing? Why was I doing it? How much of something was I supposed to put in? Did I already put this in? And then that makes it like a more frustrating and kind of intense process than it really has to be. My tip number 2 is to also highlight the steps that you did right after you've completed it. Oh my gosh, is this a game changer? Before I would just like, skim through, just keep going, right? And honestly, I didn't always look at the steps too much after reading it the first time, and even then the reading it the first time was just kind of skimming through. Yeah. But this really helps knowing where you're at in the recipe visually. Like, it gives you a visual key to knowing where you are at in the recipe. Highlighting is like, it just feels so good. It gives me a little bit of a dopamine boost when I'm highlighting and be like, yeah, I did that part of the recipe, moving on. And that feels really good. I definitely would recommend it as a way of keeping track of what you're doing in the kitchen. It doesn't even have to be something that you bake. I think highlighting like where you are and steps wise can be really helpful with cooking too. Granted, cooking is one of those things that I just read the recipe, then I know what I'm doing and I'm cooking. But if you don't have those like skills in the kitchen yet, highlighting as you go could be very fundamental help. It's like a big machine thing outside. Last but not least, tip number 3, which is to have some kind of physical timer. Something you want to make fun and interesting if you have a problem with getting bored while baking. I'm the kind of person that gets bored while baking, and often will put on a show or TV or movie and then go sit and watch it while things are like proofing. So having like, if you download like a fun app timer where the timers like have fun noises or animations, that's cool. Or like a song that you like as like the timer jingle, that's also cool. It doesn't have to be just on your phone. I would also, phone is good because you can take it with you anywhere. And so if you like leave that part of the house and you like do something, you can still hear it. But I think those fun countertop counters, even though they probably seem obsolete now that we have our phone timers, are also really helpful because, again, they give you that like little boost of like, oh, look at the cute timer. Like, oh, the cute timer's going off. There's this like pig one that my mom has. I think it's broken now, but it's the cutest thing. And whenever I see it, it kind of makes me excited to set the timer. Excited to wait for that little piggy to go. That's my impression of a timer, and he's going. And yeah, so setting a timer in a fun way could be really cool. I hate using the oven timer. It makes a noise that hurts my ears. And so I always try to use a fun timer I find online. Oh, like those timers they used to use in elementary school, like that they would time you for like a set of questions, and when the timer would go off, like firework animation would play on the screen or something. Those were so cool. I loved those. Things like that could make it a little more fun to have the time start. So that's all the tips I have for today. Just those 3 simple tips that you could use to help elevate your baking skills to the next level. Thank you all so much for watching. Just so you know, if you are gluten intolerant, you don't have to be afraid of bread or baking anymore. And you don't have to be afraid even if you're not intolerant of bread or baking anymore. And I'll see you guys in the